do something. All right, so probably, I never thought of it. I just realized it's Friday night. So we're going to get our candle started. It's kind of our official little thing here. It's a gift from our friends. Actually called Bougie something. I call it Bougie. I don't even know what the word bougie means. We're going to get our white sage going. This is actually mounted sage. If you don't know, sage breaks up negative energy connections, okay? And be careful, that stuff will really smoke up, okay, if you got a fire alarm. Okay, first time I did it, I didn't realize how smoky it was, and it actually set off the fire alarm. This was many years ago. All right, so we're going to talk about how past trauma, how it affects or how it attracts unhealthy relationships, because past trauma, if it's not healed, it will carry into our adult lives, okay? Oh yeah, let me shut this one off. All right, so the person who asked about this, I got her saved here. She's a tarot card reader. In fact, I talked to her today. Actually, she called me from, I think she's in Washington. Yeah, she's near Seattle, I think. So it's the Soulful Artist. She's a tarot card reader. I want to recommend her to you. So the Soulful Artist on YouTube. She said, will you talk about the effects of not healing the past and how it can attract unhealthy relationships? So yeah, absolutely. Let's close that out. Let me close something here just because it's kind of heating up. All right. So I'm going to start. Let me go to my notes. So I'm going to go over three possible things. Number one, how your past trauma and how it can attract unhealthy relationships. And I'm probably going to make do a different live stream, but how words affect our emotions and how that can make you a negative person or a positive person. Okay. And narcissists are really good at using negative words to put you in a very negative place, a very negative state. Okay. And then we're going to talk about salt water. In fact, I'm going to do it right now because I was supposed to do it. It's a real quick thing. I said I would do it in the video live stream last night, and I didn't. So here's really simple. So one of the energy healing forms I'm certified and trained in is pranic healing. And one of the first things they taught us was to get a bottle and put filtered water. And what you do is you use sea salt. Okay. I just bought this, believe it or not, but at the dollar store. Okay, sea salt. And it doesn't really matter how much you pour in. There isn't like an exact recipe, but just pour plenty of it in there. I wouldn't overwhelm it, but see how that is. Okay. And all you need is filtered water, coarse sea salt, or I'm sorry, just sea salt. It doesn't matter if it's coarse or not. And the other thing you need is rubbing alcohol, which I put back, but I'm sure you know what rubbing alcohol is. And again, I put about a third of rubbing alcohol in there, and then I put 2/3 of water. Okay. And then I'll just pour in some sea salt. And then I'll put probably about 5 or 6 drops of lavender oil. That really is just for the smell, and it does help you to relax. Now, what we do with it, and you can do it too, it's a really simple thing. So if you want to disconnect from someone, so here's what we do. When we pull energy or cut cords with people, we'll cut the cords out, okay? In fact, I could actually do it to the person that's watching right now. What we do is we can either grab out of the main chakras and cut them, or I grab them out of the whole body and then I cut it all the way down, okay? And I'll do it the front and the back. Now the challenge is these are called Akka cords, okay? Now that's from Huna. I'm also certified in Huna. Okay, so I use the term Akka cords. It's energy that connects. So if I touch something, like I'm going to touch this glass, let's say, there's going to be a cord that's connected to me. I could be in Hawaii and fly all the way back to California, and there's going to be a cord there until someone cuts it off. That's one of the reasons why you want to clean stuff, clean door handles, light switches, just clean counters and the handles to the refrigerators, or just the whole thing in the refrigerator, right? Rubbing alcohol and sea salt will break up these negative connections. So what I would do is I would just go like that. And obviously, because it has rubbing alcohol in it and also the sea salt, it is sanitary. Okay. So anything I've touched, boom, it disconnects it. Okay. Now, when I first started, doing energy healing, I just thought, oh, come on, give me a break. But what happened was I was deep into meditation at that point in my life. I'd been meditating for 2 to 4 hours a day, every single day. And I had started going to energy healers and having them do healing on me. So I'm kind of in the middle of all this. And now I'm doing this, I think it was a 2-week training we did for this energy healing. And I did notice that people that would do stuff like this, they seem to have a lighter energy. And then when I would spray it on me, like if I would interact with people who had negative energy, it would, okay, for example, why would you want something like this? Well, if you have interactions with narcissists, the moment they think of you, they connect with you. All right. So what you do is actually just take a shower. So I don't want to do it, but is I will spray it on all my main chakras. Okay. And on the crown chakra too. I'll, spray it up there, my forehead, my eyes. Okay. So when you watch YouTube videos, believe it or not, but your eyes and your ears, if you have headphones on, or if you're just listening, you're taking in that information and also what that person's energy. So if they don't have good energy, you're going to connect with it. That's why when you watch a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, your head might be spinning and thinking, and your forehead's kind of tight. Well, just spray it with something like this. It could be as simple as, hold on, I'll do it. Hold on. So here's the rubbing alcohol. All right, it's just doesn't matter what kind. You can do it as simple as just rubbing it on your hands. All right, so now because your hands have chakras on them too. In fact, each what do you call them, pad of fingertip has a chakra too, and I think they have one in each also. You have more than just your main chakras. You've got a chakra in each one of your joints, your knees, ankles, bottom of your feet, etc. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just get some on here, and I will do it counterclockwise, like you're opening a bottle, or a Coke bottle, or Pepsi bottle, whatever. And it depends, like if I'm in public or I'm in a hurry, then I'll do some on top of my head too. Okay. I'll do it to this one, and also, my heart chakra, etc., solar plexus. So your main chakras are your crown chakra, your your third eye chakra, we'll call it. And then you have your ajna, which is right here. I do a lot of work on my left eye, because your left eye, when you open it up, man, I should do another training on that. I'm going to do that today. It'll open you up to your right brain. All this stuff I teach men in my course for men. It's a 6-day course called Cracked Female Code. It helps men to open up to their right brain, and that's what women like, because it's emotional. It helps you to connect on a deeper level. Okay, so your main chakras is this one, and this isn't the main chakra, but it is called the ajna. I always include this one, and I always work on my left eye. So the main one is crown, forehead, throat, heart, solar plexus, and the next one is just below your belly button. Okay, that's called your sacral chakra. Technically, it's your sexual chakra. And the one below that is your root chakra. Okay, in another video, I'll go over that and how to open them up. Okay. Unless you guys, no, I want to stick on track here. Okay, I can get off easy. So you can spray this basically even in the air over your head and kind of walk into it, and a little bit in the face. It'll break up energy connections. Now, the more you do it, the more it'll break up connections. Okay. Now, here's another thing. You can do these same things. Again, it's going to be sea salt, rubbing alcohol, and lavender to take a sea salt bath. Again, for a bath, I'll put about 8 drops, depending, because the hot water will make it steam, and we breathe it in and really relax. So that is, if I really want to do disconnections from a narcissist, especially, or a client has really bad energy, or anyone in general, I will go take a bath, because the sea salt and the rubbing, it's really the sea salt, but the rubbing alcohol can help. It breaks up all those negative connections. That's why whenever you take a sea salt bath, or if you go in the ocean and swim around for 10, 15, 20 minutes, you just feel refreshed for like 2 or 3 days. It's because you disconnected from all those negative connections. Now, let me give you kind of a fun story. My hair cutter, a long time ago, I don't go to her anymore. It's been about 6 years or more. So she was like drained, and you could tell she just weighted down. And she goes, "Oh, I can't lose weight." I'm like, "Well, you got all these negative connections." And so she goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And so I said, "Well, we got aqua cords that connect, for like when you talk to someone forehead to forehead, it makes a connection. All right." And I go, when you open your heart to someone, boom, you just made a connection. So now you got these connections to all these different people. And for the most part, it can weigh you down and drain you, especially if it is an energy vampire, which is a narcissist. And narcissists do purposely. Okay. The reason why narcissists want to get you up in your head is because it ungrounds you, and it's a really solid connection. It's like they get to control you and jerk you around by your head, so to speak. So that's why you always want to kind of disconnect that stuff, okay? So I did this cord cutting. I grabbed all our energy cords, and it was really strong. You could tell. And then I just went and as I went down, I felt for the first time ever, it was like a pop, 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 pop all the way down. And I looked at her, and she goes, "What was that?" I go, "Did you feel that?" She goes, "It was like a bunch of popping things." I'm like, "Yeah, that was your cords disconnecting." And the other two girls, let's see, there's two for sure. I think there's a third one. Two more of the hair cutters. And they were like, "What was that?" Because they felt it too. I go, "Did you feel something?" And it was like, I go, not Mary Beth, I can't remember her name, but she said, "Yeah, it felt like a popping thing." So those were cords that she had that had been just dragging her down. From that point forward, she started losing weight. She just had more energy for herself. Okay. All right. So now let's get to how past trauma, how it can attract unhealthy relationships. Let's see what we got here. Hey, I know there's one person on there. Let's see if there's someone else. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so we're actually just getting started right now on the relationship thing. Let me look at my notes real quick. Okay, there's 1, 2. All right. So we're going to talk about. Okay. So so here's what happens. In your past life, it could be a past life, but it also can very much be in your childhood, okay? When you get traumatic events, what happens, or emotional events, or it could be a belief, a value, or a rule, which we learn from our family, our friends, our churches, our neighborhood, and our community, okay? These can be issues, because you can get a value that's actually not healthy for you, or you can get hurt really bad emotionally and then have like a reverse value because I got to stay away from that, right? Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one that affects a lot of people. In the Bible, it does not say that money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And the pastor made it really, really clear over and over and over. If you put money above your happiness, your health, your love, your family, your friends, and your work, it's a very unhealthy thing, because you don't care about people. You don't love people. Money comes first. And if you put it above your God, it will destroy you. Okay. But the funny thing is, I confirm my pastor, but in the Old Testament, it says like literally like 100 times, maybe not 100 times, but it says it a lot. It says, and it's God saying it, to prosper, to live a wealthy life, to be wealthy. It says to be wealthy, to prosper. I go, it doesn't sound like God's making that a request, because it's not. You are supposed to live a wealthy life. And so I go, then why does everyone say that money's the root of all evil? He goes, because they don't read their Bible. He goes, I can't tell you how many times, and I was in church listening to him. He goes, how many times in the last year have I said that it's not money's root of all evil, it's the love of money. So my point being is, this can become a belief. Unfortunately, this would be a false belief. So let's say a part of you wants to make money, let's say your heart, but then your head says, yeah, but money's the root of all evil. So now that's called a conflict. And you can carry that conflict all the way throughout your entire life, all the way through high school, all the way to college, and all the way into your 40s and 50s. And you're like, how come I'm not making any money? It's because you believe that money's evil. So you don't want money. So that could be a conflict. Now, the tarot card reader, we actually did a session about this, about what it was when it comes to when you get a bad emotional issue in childhood. If you don't clear that up, that will literally attract people to you that are of that issue. So let me grab something. All right. So this is going to be used as a filter. All right. All right. So make a comment. I know there's 2 people on there, but no one's saying hello. Say hello if you can. I appreciate it. So I'm a little, I think it'll help me go if you guys do that. I'm a little feeling stuck right now, but all right. Okay, I've got it here. All right, so let me explain. Okay, so there's something that I'm trained in called timeline therapy. Okay, this will explain it better. Okay, so timeline therapy is literally you float up above your timeline and you can float all the way to the past or all the way to the future. Okay. And you can literally float into past lives. Now, here's the thing. Here I was certified and trained. I went and trained, retrained, got certified as a master practitioner. I did multiple trainings, studied the hell out of it. And I was using it with my clients because one of the things, someone had asked a question, I forget what it was, but he said, it was about, well, does this stuff really work or something like that? Or is that, no, they're like, is this real? And he said, it doesn't really matter if it is real or not. What matters is that the person heals from it. He goes, that is what matters. Okay. So here's when I began to realize that this was real. Here's what happened. Okay. So I had a client and they didn't believe in past lives. Now, as a Christian, I was told not to, because we don't believe in that. Right. Well, my eyes got jerked wide open. I had done this with myself many times on many different issues. And I had done it with other clients, and this one client came in like, oh, I don't believe in past lives. I said, okay, that's fine. And as they came in, we started working on timeline therapy because an issue came up. I'm like, oh, that's definitely a timeline therapy thing. So we used timeline therapy. They floated up, they floated in the past, and I thought they were going to stop somewhere in their childhood, above their childhood. And they were like, we were working on it. And like, yeah, but he goes, it's weird. I go, what's that? He goes, there's something further in the past. I'm like, okay, we'll float further in the past. And they kept floating further and further. I'm like, well, where are you? And they're like, well, I'm before my birth. I'm like, really? Well, like how far? Like, you mean like in the womb, like when you're in your mother's womb? And he goes, no, I'm like I'm like a lifetime back or more. I was like, I thought you didn't believe that. He goes, neither did I. And so we ended up working on this issue that he had, and it completely cleared it up. Because the number one rule when it comes to timeline therapy, the number one rule when it comes to healing emotions, believe it or not, is if you can go all the way back on your timeline to the first emotion, the first time you felt that emotion, when you heal it, the whole thing pops and all the emotions come off. Okay. Let's talk about, now that's the timeline. Now let's talk about Fritz Perls, Dr. Fritz Perls. He had said a long time ago, it's like a pearl necklace. The first time you get a negative emotion, a hurt, shame, fear, anger, frustration, panic or whatever it is, what will happen is that from that point forward, you'll get another one and then another one. And as you go forward, not only does the chain or the pearl necklace get heavier, the individual emotions get bigger and bigger. So by the time you're in your mid-20s to late 20s or early 30s, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I've got all these issues coming up. I've got like, whoa, what's going on? Because when you first started, like, yeah, you had panic, you had frustration, like no big deal. But after a while, the issues got more and more, the emotions got bigger and bigger, and it began to, and you got more and more of them, and it began to weigh you down. And so when you got that issue triggered again, it has a bigger impact emotionally each time. All right. So what happens is most people begin to experience and realize like, wow, I've got issues when they're in their late 20s and usually early 30s, sometimes a little bit later, but that's why. So here's the cool thing that Fritz Perls said. He said, if you can go back to the very, very first one and you can heal that one, it is literally the equivalent. Let's say you got a pearl necklace, right? So let's hold it up like this. If you can heal that first one, it's like snipping off the end of the pearl necklace and all of them go, all the emotions fall off and you don't have that emotion anymore. You don't have that same trigger or experience with people. It is a really wonderful tool. So the thing about it is when you do this effectively, a lot of times you will like, okay, when I do it on myself or when I go to someone to do this therapy on me, I won't remember what the issue was. And they'll say, how's that issue going? I'm like, what issue? Like, what are you talking about? That's how you know when you got it really, really good. It's like you have a really hard time accessing an issue or a memory that had been bothering you for 30, 40, 50 years, okay? So that's the gift of timeline therapy. Now, let's kind of reverse this a little bit. So the original question was, and I'll pull it up. Hold on. Where did it go? Okay, should be here. Oh, there it is. So her request was, will you talk about the effects of not healing the past and how it can attract unhealthy relationships? All right, hold on 1 second. I gotta grab something. All right, so I'm actually just settling in right now. I'm gonna cool the computer down. I don't know why it gets so damn hot, but it does. All right, sorry about all that noise. Sorry. All right, so, all right, now watch this. This is going to blow you away. So when you have an emotional issue from the past, whether it's a past life, you know what? I'm going to talk about how DNA is transferred into parent to child. It's going to blow you away. DNA is transferred. This is going to blow you away when I'm sharing with that. All right, all right. I see someone else has joined us briefly. All right, so what happens is, okay, so if you get a traumatic event, okay, this is going to be mind-blowing. Okay, so I've got a friend who I went to middle school and high school with. She was always kind of loud and obnoxious and kind of really like catty towards boys. And kind of, like we liked her, and she liked us, but she was just had this real, and she's always had it, okay? Well, we reconnected on Facebook over the last 5 years or so, and a lot of my high school friends, we've all kind of finally gathered together. And of course, here she is, men, they're all cheaters, they're all the same. And I'm kind of laughing because if you understand timeline therapy and if you've done it before and you've seen the healing work, you begin to realize that the beliefs that you carry from childhood will attract to you the very thing that you don't want. All right? So think of this as emotions and feelings, trauma. So let's give an example. So let's say her first love or first boyfriend cheated, or because usually here's another thing about timeline therapy. The issues come from 0 to 7. They never come after that. So when people in war suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, it's because something happened in their childhood. And you're like, wait, what? I had a real hard time understanding this myself until I cleared up a lot of my issues. And then I was like, oh. What happened was something in their childhood happened. Here's the thing. A lot of times when you do the timeline therapy, 9 out of 10 times, it's not some big dramatic thing. Usually it's the first time you had that issue happen, that emotion, and then it begins to build and build and build and build. So someone goes to war. And so the question is, why is it that only a certain percentage of men who go to combat, or men or women, come back with post-traumatic stress disorder, like whereas these other people do fine. Like what is that all about? It's because something happened in their childhood. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative emotion or a traumatic issue. It could have been just a belief that someone installed them. It could have been a belief that they got from a TV show or from a movie. All right. All right, I'll give you one. All right, Dr. Bob Bays. I took one of his trainings. He was training under Tony Robbins. He was the head psychologist at Syracuse University. He loves NLP, right? He says this blows away psychology because it does. So he said he was trying to explain how issues from childhood that you didn't even, that it happened and boom, it's no big deal, right? He said, my daughter, so one day they were doing a big barbecue. Here it is. I'm going to close this. He goes, we had this big barbecue. We were all in the backyard, around the pool. Our friends there, our family there, our neighbors were there. And he goes, my daughter was upstairs. I don't know if he said she was taking a shower, getting ready, but when she came down the stairs and walked into the living room, she looked out the living room window and she saw their car getting driven away. And she freaked out because she thought that the whole family had gotten in the car and left. So she's freaking out. She's running around the house. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she went in the kitchen and then in the other side of the house and she looked out the window and everybody else was in the back and she was fine. So watch this. So here she is in college. She was having major traumatic, not just in college, but it was in high school. It was in college where she would have this huge abandonment issue. And here he is, a psychologist going, she's never been abandoned. She's never had anything like that in her life, right? So they did all this therapy on her for years and nothing worked until they did this therapy that took her all the way back to that first memory. And once they cleared it, her abandonment issues were gone forever, okay? So let's go back to my friend from high school. So let's say her father cheated on her mother, okay? It could happen. It could also happen she watched a TV show where the father or the boyfriend cheated on the wife or the girlfriend. It really doesn't matter, especially when you're a young child. These things can get installed in you at a very, very easy way, okay? Hold on. I feel like we need music or something. All right. So here she is, now officially in her 50s. And she's still posting on Facebook about how men are all the same and all men and all this and all that. Now watch this. All right. So now, I used to have two issues. One was whenever a cute girl would smile at me, I would literally think it was like the Wicked Witch because, okay, now here's what it is. So when you have traumatic events happen, you get this thing called a filter. So when you look through this, it looks aqua blue or aqua green or whatever you call that, right? Well, in reality, that's not what's going on here, okay? So we tend to get triggered into different emotions depending on the issue, right? So okay, true life story. I was with my friend and his mom. We were at the mall. And this really cute girl smiled at me. Now, I think I was in 9th grade or maybe 10th grade or the summer before 10th grade. And so it was this really cute girl and she was with her friends and she's looking at me. It was obvious she was smiling at me. And my friend's mom was, Michael, go talk to her. My friend mom was like, yeah, dude, that chick's hot. I'm like, no way. And my friend's mom was like, why? That girl's going to hurt me. She's going to be mean to me. Because I used to have this belief because of past experiences of people being mean to me and teasing me and hurting me that whenever a female would smile at me, it could be a friend's mom. It could be anyone. It could be my sister. It meant they were going to fucking hurt me. They're going to fuck me up. But not directly. It was going to be a real sneaky, tricky kind of thing, right? I carried that belief until I was about 34 years old or so. And all right, so watch this. So here I am for years teaching guys how to communicate with women using NLP, how to understand women, how to get along, how to open up to the right brain, the internal, emotionally fulfilling communication brain, language. And what I started noticing with all my clients was it wasn't so much that they needed all these tools and skills on how to gain rapport, how to communicate better, although it does help. They all had some kind of psychological issue, a filter from childhood. Okay. Now, I started noticing this, and then I kind of thought about myself, and I thought, once we cleared up that issue, all of a sudden they started meeting women, and it was no problem at all. And so the same thing started happening with me. And so then I started thinking about me like, well, my whole reason for learning all this stuff, and because I decided at about 22 years old, because of an experience that I had, that it was something that I had taught not a girlfriend, and she became a girlfriend in college, some basic communication patterns in NLP and the deep love strategy, which, by the way, we can do a deep love strategy thing, live video also, not now, but another time. And all of a sudden she became very interested in me. Okay. And I was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, why is she suddenly all interested in me? That was kind of mind blowing. Like, and I asked her later, like, why did you suddenly become interested in me? She goes, well, it was that thing that you did. I'm like, what thing? She goes, the communication stuff and the deep love strategy. I'm like, really? So from that point forward, I thought that's what I'm going to do with all this NLP psychological stuff is develop a dating relationship communication business. Okay. So let's fast forward to 34 years of age. So about 10, 12 years later. So I've got really good at this. I developed a really powerful course. And I started to question myself, like, well, why did I start this? Because I didn't know how to meet women. I wasn't good at it. I sucked at it. I was alone. I was dateless and desperate, right? And then I thought, is there something going on in my past that's affecting me now? Okay. And turns out there was, and it was that cute girl smiling at me. So when I was younger, my sisters would give me that smile and then they'd kick my ass. Okay. And a couple girls in 4th and 5th grade had hurt me really bad too. So the point being is this whole thing had begun to build and build and build to the point where I was like, hell no, I'm not going to talk to that person because they're smiling at me. That was an absolute filter, because when you look through the filter, my belief was that when cute girls smile at me, that means, so once a cute girl smiles and once it goes through the filter, it gets changed into, it's not a sweet smile, it's a wicked witch smile, and she's going to hurt me. So when I'm looking through this, that's what it would look like. Oh, she's a wicked witch, she's going to hurt me, right? So that's the problem. Now here's the worst part. This is the worst part. I'm going to give you another example after this. Oh, it's okay, Amy. You can always rewind. Thanks for saying hello. I don't know, for some reason when you guys comment, that makes a big difference to me. That kind of gets me back in the zone. So the worst part about it is this damn belief that you have, this filter. It could be a rule, decision, or belief, or from a traumatic event, or just from someone teaching you something that's wrong. It will draw you away from the good people and towards the bad people. When you understand this, that's going to blow your mind on how it sabotages you and you don't even know what's going on. This is an unconscious filter, okay? And that's the whole goal of therapy, is to heal and clear up these false filters and issues, okay? Because it does the very worst thing, even though it means well. Its intention is to protect you, but it doesn't. So I've got 2 more stories here. All right, so in reality, okay, so what happened when I cleared that filter up about when cute girls smile at me, all of a sudden I started meeting better people. That was the thing, is I met someone that was genuine, that was honest, that was sincere, that had a good heart, and they were also pretty and they were cute. I ended up dating women that were not cute at all. In fact, they were not only, I'm not trying to be mean, but they weren't attractive. And they were also mentally and emotionally and spiritually not attractive. They're mean people. And I went through a living hell for a long, long time because of it, okay? So now watch this. I used to also have a belief that people are mean to me. And everywhere I go, people are mean to me. Now watch this. All right, so you go to, let's say you and 2 or 3 of your friends go to a party. And there's, let's just say 100 people, just to make a number. And you go to this party and your friends and you kind of all go off in different places and stuff. And so they mingle with those people and I walk over here. So When I had a filter of people are mean, now watch this. This is going to blow your mind. I would walk up to someone. Now, I didn't know this back then. It was just kind of an unconscious thing. But when I cleared this issue, I started to see it in real life. Let's say I walked up to person number one and we started to mingle and talk. And I was just like, something doesn't fit here. Something's not right. There was no connection. I didn't get it. And I move on to the next person. It's kind of this weird thing. Nothing connected. Another. Then bam, I connected with someone who was mean. Here's the deal. If you have a belief, and it's always unconscious, you're not aware of it. If you have a belief that people are mean, it's going to, okay, think of it like this. So you got this belief radar system going on, and you bump into a nice person. Well, they don't fit that belief because they're not being mean. This person doesn't fit that belief, so they're not being mean. This person doesn't fit that. But then, bam, you're like, oh, it's an unconscious thing. So your belief will draw you because, okay, when your unconscious mind has a belief, it will create that unconsciously. It'll draw you to the very person who goes, yep, that's what I believe in the world. I believe that this is the way people are. And you only stop on that person, right? So next thing you know, after 30 minutes, that person was a jerk. They were mean. And so after all, I was like, oh, screw you. And then I started mingling with other people, and then boom, 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 boom. And then I found another mean person. But it's not like I'm logically thinking this. It's an unconscious thing, because if you have a belief that people are mean and you're talking to someone who's nice, that doesn't fit your worldview, and therefore it doesn't fit. Does that make sense? So you walk on to the next person. So then at the end of the night, I ended up finding 5 mean people. So out of the whole room of 100 people, 95 of them were wonderful and beautiful and loving and kind and creative and smart and spiritual. But I only talked to the 5 meanest people in the room. So when me and my friends decided to leave 2 hours later, we walk out the door and they're like, wasn't that a wonderful party? Weren't those just wonderful people? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Those are the meanest people in the world. Now, do you see how people can get a totally radically different belief on something? Okay. Another thing your filter will do, like it did with the girls. So let's say, like at the mall, my friend's like, Michael, she's a really nice girl. When her smile went through my filter, it changed. And it's like, no, she's not nice. She's going to hurt me. That's the other thing that your filters do. So here's the worst part of it. It will attract you only to the people that fit your belief. So if you have beliefs that men are bad, that women are cheaters, men are liars, whatever it is, guess who you're going to end up dating? So you need to be really careful of what you believe, because here's the power of it. Your unconscious mind will attract to you and only to you those people who fit your belief, because these other people, it's almost like they're not real to you. They don't fit into your worldview. Does that make sense? Amy, did you get that at all? Or I'm looking at my notes here, so hopefully Amy answers. Give me a second here. I think there was something I was going to say. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, DNA transferred. Oh, yeah. All right. We're going to go deep on this. Okay, so let me give you one more story. You're going to like the DNA transfer. That's going to freak you out. Something I figured out a long time ago. It'll help you understand why past lives actually are real. It's a scientific thing. All right. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's go back to that girl that I knew in high school who, men are bad, men are cheaters, men are this, rah. And here she is, and 50-some years old, and she's on Facebook saying the same damn thing. And then, sure enough, 2 of her really good friends she's known since elementary school is like, I don't think men are cheaters. I don't think men are bad. And they both said, I've been married to my husband for almost 30 years, and he's never cheated on me. He's good to me. And her brain probably and she literally, and I knew it. And sure enough, she typed up, well, that's just 1 in a million. That's just rare. No, that's not rare. There are good people out there. The problem is, if you have a filter that it draws you to people like, here's another one. Some women, or not women, it's people. Is it okay if I use the women thing? It just kind of will flow a little better. It could be a man too. It could be both, but it'll just help me in my communication better. Some women will always or only be attracted to men that are poor, men that are broke all the time. Here's how it could happen. There's other ways. It could be that her father kept losing his job, or he could never get a good job. He didn't have an education, and her mother was the breadwinner. So unconsciously, again, she will attract herself. If now that doesn't necessarily mean if you have a father like that, that'll happen. It will, if it sinks in though, then you're going to be drawn to those people. All right. And here's another thing about these beliefs. Because we're so unconscious, these beliefs can cause this in another person. Yeah. It's not a massive rock, by the way. It's this is from, I believe it's from, if I remember, it's from Pepsi Cola. It's the glass that they make the bottles out of. And at the very end, they kind of fall off and they're all hot and stuff. And they basically cool down and become chunks like this. A friend of mine is a multimillionaire. He owns a huge shop where he will only work on your home or your business if it's, it used to be $300,000, or now he lowered it because the economy got bad. It was $150,000 now, but he's done everything. But I got it from him. He puts this in like your plants, in your gardens in certain areas. It's pretty cool. All right. So back to this thing. So let's take the girl in high school, and she always dates guys that are cheaters. Well, it's because on an unconscious level, she's attracted to those guys. Okay. So we draw them into our energy. They become, all right. Now here's another thing. This is going to blow you away. So the way this works, I'm sorry to say this, it really sucked when I first learned. I was like, are you kidding me? And it made sense. And I humbly bow and admit, yep, you're right. Relationships, you are usually drawn to someone who is a magnetic connection because you've got an issue or multiple issues. And what they're going to do is they're going to poke you, trigger you, and trigger you. And then it could be your middle school girlfriend, your first high school girlfriend, your second high school girlfriend, your third high school girlfriend, okay, maybe not fourth, and then your college girlfriend or your early 20s girlfriend. And you end up getting hurt, and they cheat on you, or they lie to you, or they're mean, or they're a okay, this is going to come around to the narcissist. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Or they're a narcissist, okay? So let's go. So the majority of my crowd, I don't know, because no one else has commented. I don't know who's all in here. But a lot of my videos are about narcissists now, even though I'm an NLP trainer, personal development coach, energy healer, and really a dating relationship communication expert. That's really what I do. But in the last 8 months, because narcissism has gotten out of control and a lot of people are running into it. So here's how it works. When you were a child, you had gotten abused and trained by a narcissist. So your worldview became, well, this is the way people are, and this is the way life is. We believe it. This is just the way life is, right? And so again, when we go out in the world to meet a partner and a spouse, dating relationship, whatever, we will only be attracted to abusive narcissists. So for example, I'll use me as an example, and I'm sure one of you on this probably has had the same experience. So you were brought up in a narcissistic family, you were abused by narcissists, and then your first friend, your second friend, and then it was the first job you got, your boss was a narcissist, and then it was your friend after that, then it was your girlfriend after that, the next girlfriend, and you begin to, okay, here's what happened with me. I popped. I completely, hello, Slow Vision. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much. So, yeah, Amy says, my dad's a narcissist. Okay, so watch this. When I popped over a year ago, I fully, completely popped. And you will get to a point eventually. And this is the whole idea of what I'm saying, this pincushion thing, okay? When I popped, those next 2 months, I started having realizations after realizing, oh my God, my ex-girlfriend, oh, my first girlfriend, my second girlfriend, my girlfriend in college was like that. Oh my, she was so mean. She did the whole, one thing she would do, she would leave, wouldn't tell anybody. She would pack her shit get a new job somewhere and wouldn't tell you, and then would just boom up and move. And she would also have either a rented room. She rented a room in Sacramento of this one lady's house, and she shared an apartment with someone, and she would just leave for like 3 months and then come back acting like nothing happened. Like, what the fuck? Then she did it for 6 months, and then she did it for 3 months. So this went on for a while. It's a very narc thing. So as I started learning what a narcissist was, when I popped open, you could see it. And as I look back in my past, there's like a timeline of all these narcissists. Sure, there was other people like jerks and assholes and nice people and good people and not good people, but you could see the narcissist. And so here's what happens is you finally popped this. You finally healed this. And now it's gone. And now you're looking at the world with fresh eyes without this mucky filter. So once you get rid of the filter, you can tell that, okay, I had anxiety my entire life. And I mean, I would sweat at night so bad I'd have to lay down 3 towels. Otherwise it would soak through into the bed. Okay. And the towels would be soaked. I would lose every night 5 to 7 pounds of water weight every single night of my life. Right. I did. The whole reason why I got involved in NLP and hypnosis and energy healing, I was so desperate to fix this anxiety. And all these other things got better with timeline. A lot of things got better, but not the anxiety. A lot of my other issues, they began to clear. They began to heal. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. It wasn't until I popped and I saw the narcissist, my anxiety's gone for the first time in my life. Done. Best thing in the world, okay? So if you're dealing with narcissists, you're getting close. You're getting damn close, okay? You're getting close to popping, okay? Hire someone like me to take you down the path of healing a lot faster and a lot smoother, because it can be a rough ride. So the ultimate goal of all of this, so you are, for whatever reason, whether it's a narcissist or you always tend to date a bum or you tend to date an abusive person or whatever, you are attracted to those people, and you literally filter out the good people. All right? Because in your reality, when you have this belief on good people don't live in your reality, you're like, well, that's not real. And that's like our friend on Facebook from high school and elementary, middle school. She's like, oh, that's not real. Oh, well, your husband's different. Oh, in other words, she was, on the side say, well, her husband's not a man. Bullshit. It was always, but that's what a belief will do. Your beliefs will delete, distort, and generalize reality. It will literally, deleting means it will cut things out to where you're looking down a tube and all this stuff. Let's say you look away from it. Like, nope, that's not real. I don't believe that because they're not a real man, or they're not this, or they were raised weird. There's something. She literally said at one point, well, there's something wrong with your husband's brain because that's just not normal. Because now here's her reality, though. You have to respect her and your reality. That's all she's ever known. And because of that, that's all she's ever been attracted to. And because of that, that's all she's ever known. So anything that doesn't fit inside that box to her is not real. If I could work with her and clear that, it would it would make shockwaves across the planet. Okay, my friends in high school would be like, "What?" Because we at this point we just kind of accepted that's just her rant, that's just her bitch. Okay, whatever. I do have compassion. I love her to death, by the way. If you can't tell, I really genuinely do love her to death. We all do. She's a really good person. So that's how, when past issues are not healed, it will attract you to, and I'm going to go to the DNA thing. You're going to love this part. It will attract you to the very worst people. But one thing that was taught to me in energy healing was, usually when you get into a relationship, it's because that person is going to poke and prod your issues, and it festers like a zit. It causes them to fester like a zit, and it comes up until it pops, and then it begins the healing journey. That's what this is all about. So until you can see it for what it is, you're going to keep going through the same pain, the same suffering. So a lot of you that are coming to my channel now because of narcissist abuse, if you're becoming aware of narcissist abuse and you in it and it hurts, like with me, it was like a wasp sting, a giant wasp sting, and the toxin, oh my God, did it fucking hurt. But that's what it took, and that's what it usually takes for people to get off drugs, to snap out of their issues, to whatever, to get out of, to stop dating certain people. Like they have to get hurt so fucking bad to where it's like smacks you so hard and so many times that you finally open your eyes and you look around and go, whoa, I'm not doing. And that's the thing with narcissism, dude. The minute I start seeing these traits, I'm gone. I have no problem cutting people out of my life at all. And that's what happens. You talk to all these people that have really gotten to the end of their rope. And that's a good phrase. It's like you just boom, because you've gotten hurt so many times and you're sick of it. You're just like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm done being nice to people that are mean to me. I'm done trying to overlook all their bullshit, all their lying, their cheating, their hurting ways. And you're like, I'm done. The minute someone lies, bye. The minute someone cheats, bye. You start standing your ground, and it feels good. It feels really good. So let me kind of catch up on the reading here. Yeah, Amy, that's fine. You can watch from the beginning, but stick with us for now. All right, so now I want to give you guys something really cool. All right. Now here I am training in energy healing, Reiki, pranic healing, Huna, consciousness work, spending literally years and years with Buddhist monks, okay? Doing these healings and all this stuff and learning all this ancient teachings and stuff from all these different cultures. And I just had a hard time believing in past lives. I just couldn't believe it because I'm a Christian and that's the way I was raised. And you get one lifetime and that's it. You're going to heaven or you're going to hell, you know. I absolutely believe in the teachings of Jesus for sure. So here's the deal. Here's how I finally understood, and I'm going to prove it to you on a scientific level that's going to blow you away. So I was going to an energy healer for years, and I mean years. It was like 7 years at this point or something like that. And at least once a month, if not 2 or 3 times a month, okay? And this was consistent. And I knew her dog when he first got her dog. The dog's like, I don't know, 5, 6 months old, however old it was. And it was a Sheltie. Those are the sheep herd, those little medium-sized dogs, and they bark and they nip at the sheep, and they corral and herd the sheep. And the guys on the horse they make certain whistles, go right, go left, go forward, and go back and get the other one. And these dogs are smart little fucking dogs. Those dogs are smart. So I'd walk, as I'm walking down the hallway to her, because she lived in a big building. She had this big, it was bigger than an apartment. It was like a big office warehouse thing that they turned into like a condo. Okay, it was freaking awesome. But as you walk down the hall, it's a hard, I don't know, it wasn't wood. It was like, what do you call this floor? Whatever. It's like a hard floor. And the dog could hear me, and it got to know my steps. And it would bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and just like really like, if you've ever been around those dogs, they are loud. And so when it would kind of like scare the piss out of me, like, Jesus Christ, it's like they sense energy into you. Whoa, what the fuck, And what she did was she ended up building this little room right on the right side so you could walk in it. And it would still bark and bark and bark and bark. But the minute you got up on the bed, it was like a massage table. The dog would literally lick your hand if you hold your hand, and it would lay down next to you. Well, it's obviously on the floor, and you're lifted up about 3 or 4 feet up, however high the tables are. And after about 7 years, this dog, and if I ever had to get up and go to the bathroom, and so I had to go through the living room, and I'd come all in, it would be barking while I'm in the back, bark, 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 and it would be right on your calf, like it's going to bite you, right? And I'm like, Jesus, and it's showing its teeth. I'm fucking hell. So you get back in the room, and on the bed, and it would stop barking. And so I'm like, what is the deal with your dog? Like, when is your dog going to realize who I am? I've been here every month for so many years. She goes, no, Michael, she knows who you are. I'm like, what is her deal? She goes, I don't know. And so this was part of my energy healing lesson. So I'm laying down and she's sitting in the chair doing the energy healing on me. And I'm just kind of relaxing, like, oh, yeah, great, right? And then I realized, oh, the dog's fucking hurting me. The dog is hurting me into the room. And I look and go, oh, I get it. So your clients are supposed to be here on the table, and it's like it's hurting because the dog figures like, oh, that's a client. Client's supposed to be in the room on the bed, and the minute you're on the massage table bed thing, the dog relaxes. His job is done. So I thought that was the lesson. Yeah, it's going to get better. Watch this. It's going to blow you away. I trust me. I want to make sure I say it right. So I'm laying on the bed and I'm having more, like when you expand open, which is what I do, a lot of your information either gets downloaded or the information you have, it gets amalgamated and it's like pieces of the puzzle are put together so you can see the bigger picture of the puzzle. Once you put all the pieces in there, oh, that's what it is. Oh, right? Just like my friend in high school, if I can ever work with her and she puts all the pieces together, she's going to, oh, wait a minute. Oh, was that all my fault? Yep, that was all your fault. She doesn't want, most people don't want to see that. Okay. So I'm lying on the bed and I look at my energy and I go, so your dog was raised on a farm and it was trained to herd sheep. No, before that, she go, okay, so when I first said, oh, your dog is herding us into the room and up on the table, and then it relaxes because it's a Sheltie, it's a sheep herder dog. She goes, you know what? That's funny, because when I take her to my because her kid at the time, I think was in kindergarten. Well, I know it was in kindergarten, was probably about 5 years old, and she goes, let me lower that down a little bit. How's that? Is it too much? No, it's okay. And she goes, the dog at preschool and kindergarten herds all the, like, will nudge, and it does it really hard because it did it to me, and it's really hard, and it nudged all like 20 or 30 kids all together. And she goes, the kids, they just laugh, they think it's funny, and they're all giggling, and all the parents are like, really? Because the dog is aggressive and it's intimidating. I'm telling you. She goes, no, the kids know the dog is it's being playful, and it's realizes that they're being herded, like, and they think it's funny. Oh, okay. And I'm kind of laying back. I'm kind of trancing out again. And then I go, oh, your dog was raised on a farm out in the country somewhere, and it was being trained to herd sheep. And she goes, nope. It was raised right here in San Francisco. I go, what? Yep, it was born right here in the city. I'm like, are you sure? She goes, Michael, I know the people who breed these dogs. Yes, I'm positive. I was like, oh, okay. And then I go, oh, so its mom was a sheep herder for years, and it probably did these behaviors with people, and the baby, the dog that she had, probably picked up on it, on the behavior. She goes, nope. The mom was raised in San Francisco, born and raised in San Francisco too. I've known the mom literally since the day the mom was born. I was there when the baby was born. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, so I kind of tranced out. I thought, well, that's weird. Like, and then went, oh, my friend, when I was a kid, when we were in kindergarten, his dad got a pointer dog, and it was only about 8 months old or something like that. And Jeffrey came up from the corner. It had rained that night, and it was California, so it's nice and hot and sunny and stuff. And so we were out there making little balls out of mud that was drying like clay. Little ones were army men and bigger ones were tanks, and we're doing this. We're right next to the corner of my house where there's this big bush tree thing where they had a wire wrapped around it so it would grow straight up. And normally when you get that close, if there's any little birds in there, they'll fly out. Well, we had been sitting there making noise, boom, 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 making noise the whole time. And his dog all of a sudden went, and it pointed, and its tail went out, and its thing went up. And I went, now I'd never seen a pointer dog before. Now, this is all about to make sense. I promise you. This is all going to come together. And I go, oh, my God, Jeffrey, go get your dad. I thought his dog was having a heart attack because it was just like it froze. I'd never heard of this or seen this before. I'm 5 years old. Jeffrey, you got to get your dad. There's something wrong with your dog. I think it's dying. And he goes, no, it does that. I go, what? He goes, it's a pointer dog. That's what it does. There's probably some birds in that bush right behind you. I'm like, no, there's no way. They would be gone. No, I guarantee you there's birds in there. So I said, Jeffrey, I'm telling you there's not. So I stood up and I went over and I moved one more foot closer to the thing, and 2 birds flew out. And I was like, wow, This dog had never been hunting before. It was too young, okay? It was passed down through DNA. So I had done a lot of research on DNA, and the way DNA works, once you breed a dog to be a certain way and to have certain behaviors, it gets passed down to the next generation and a couple more after that. It doesn't just disappear. You don't have to train every single dog exactly the same. They have these traits already built in. Now, it's the same thing with wild animals. What do we call it? We call it instinct. We call it mother's intuition. You're born with it, right? This is stuff that is passed down through DNA. Well, guess what? You literally have past life memories passed down through your DNA. It could be just you're an aggressive person, or you're emotional, you get scared a lot. And until you go into that past life, you're going to continue it on. So something could have happened to your mother, and that got passed down to you, and you're dating the same type of men. And people are like, what is it with this family? All the women in the family tend to date the same kind of men or women, or vice versa. All right. So I'm going to pause right there. Is this opening your guys' eyes, or at least showing you something or a new possibility? Whether you believe it or not, I don't care. I'm okay with that. I'm going to take a drink, and hopefully Amy or somebody. I want to say hello to Kami. Kami, if you're still there, say hello. In slow vision, I think I already said hello to you. By the way, I'm using the microphone on my camera. I normally use the one off my computer because do you guys like this microphone? I don't know if I could. Yeah, I could probably change it. Okay. All right. So now, Amy, let me ask you a question. Is this helping you understand, maybe in your own life, you don't have to go into detail, but how you had certain experiences that continually happened, even though it was different people? You might have moved to a different state like I did, and then moved back to another state, and it was like the same experiences? Yes. Oh, so this mic's fine? Does it sound better than the other one? Because normally when I put it in my iMovie, I can tune out the reverberation, and I noticed that one had reverberation on the live feed when I played it this morning when I watched it. Does this one have that wah wah wah, or like kind of like a wah to? So is the microphone okay? Sorry, people. I'll get back to this stuff. Cool. So the mic's good. Awesome. All right. So that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions? And if I have something else, I'll look through my notes real quick here. But if you guys have any questions, yeah, I got one. All right. All right. So here's something I didn't share with you. I just did some timeline therapy on an emotion that I had been carrying for years. And I'm kind of frustrated because I've done a lot of different work on this stuff. And I did some timeline therapy, and it took me back into my mother's life. Now, when you go into the past, you're trying to find the very, very first issue, that first time it happened, so you can pop it. Otherwise, it's going to carry on. You can go back and clear, like, what happened like 5 years ago, or when you're a teenager, or maybe 12. You have to go all the way back to the very, very, very first one. I've actually heard stories where people were in the womb and their parents used to watch this certain show every night, and they had this panic and this thing. And it was this comedy show that would talk about scary stuff, but it's supposed to be a joke. And when they did timeline therapy, they remembered that. And then when they talked to their mom later, they said, yeah, we used to watch the show all the time. I didn't say that very fluidly, but you can pick up on stuff in the womb. It could be your parents fighting. It could be just the energy, the emotion. So I cleared something up just a few days ago. That was my mother's energy that I took on and thought it was mine, and it wasn't my own. Okay. God, I would love to do a live feed with someone doing timeline therapy. It would be awesome. Maybe we'll set that up somehow. Amy, you're in Wisconsin, so you're too far away. So let me give you one more. In fact, can you guys hold on for a minute? I got to take care of something. Let's take a 2-minute break, but I'm not going to shut it off. Hold on. What you're saying, spot on. Lived in multiple states as well. Yes, always attract the same type of guy. So totally resonates. Okay. So can you guys give me a 2-minute break? And I'm going to give you one more story that's going to really emphasize this. Okay. Be right back. right, got some cranberry juice. All right, so sit here for a second. Okay, let me look at. I'm gonna do this one. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do this one. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up. All right, so when I was a kid, I was in Wisconsin. It's when we moved there, so I was probably 8 or 9, maybe 10. I don't remember exactly how old I was. So I'm going to wait a second, make sure everyone's back in case some of you guys. So I'm going to wait about 30 seconds just to make sure everyone's back. Okay. If you guys can, just say hello real quick. You don't have to, but otherwise I'm going to wait. Cammy, I'm going to assume you're still here. Slow Vision. And too bad we don't have Hans. Hans is really cool. But I think they're in Europe. Him and Evie, they're in Sweden and Norway. And they usually come on later. Whew, that's sour. Holy crap. All right, so I'm going to get going. All right, so when I was a kid, so I was in the kitchen. We had this long Victorian house, right? So you had the garage, the kitchen where you cook stuff. Yep, still here. And then you had the dining area, right? And so you walk down through the doors, like the door frame, the dining area. Then you had the living room area. On the left, we had this really cool, like a bar. We had a full bar, They had a table. That was like the party room. And on the right would be the big living room. And then you go forward. At the end would be the French glass windows. You walk into the TV room, right? And kind of the playroom, but it's really the TV room. So it was 2 stories, really nice house. So I'm sitting here, and I don't know, I might have been eating. And the dishes you do back there, the stove and the kitchen stuff's back here. The refrigerator is over here. And so the screen door was right there. Okay, the door was open. The screen door was like keeping the mosquitoes out, let's say, because it was morning, but it was cool. It was about 10, 11 in the morning, just before noon. And my older brother was out there working on his bike, his BMX bikes. We were really into BMX. So what happened was he was trying to take off the bolt for the headset, but he was tightening it. He didn't realize he was doing it the wrong way. And he said, damn it. I think he even threw the wrench down as the big wrench, because he got one wrench, a big wrench, and the big wrench still didn't work. And he's like, God damn it. He slammed it on the ground. He comes in, slammed the screen door, and I'm like, look, and he goes, I'm frustrated as he walked by. I'm like, what? And then my mom and my brother, my other brother, my younger brother was here. And I'm like, he's like, I'm so damn frustrated. And I'm like, what? And I looked at my mom and my brother, what's frustration? I'd heard the word. And I remember I did kind of an internal search of what's frustration. And what happened was they looked at me like, you know what frustration is? And they actually got mad at me. I'm like, no, I don't know what it is. I had never experienced it before. Okay. So about a month later, I was in the garage working on my BMX bike, and I happened to be doing the same thing. And what it was like I was tightening it, and it slipped off, and it smacked me in the funny bone, a metal wrench, really hard. I mean, it's bang, and oh my God, that hurt. But I was like, I'm so frustrated. My brother, the same brother that got pissed off the month before, he goes, no, we're doing it. You got to do it the other way. I was like, oh, okay. So he popped it off. Like, okay, cool. And I forgot all about it. It wasn't a big deal. Right? But here's the deal. From that point forward, I started experiencing more and more and more frustration. By the time I was 25 to 30 years old, that frustration was out of control. Okay? It was really bad. I had to really kind of tone it down, right? So that could be an emotion that will attract you to a spouse or a partner who loves to frustrate people. You get it? And so that's the way life works. And so we are attracted to people based on our issues. And that's what makes these issues look real. Another thing, because you really believe, well, this is the way life is, and life is frustrating, and people are this. But when you clear something up, all of a sudden it's gone. Now, here's what we had to do. Now, watch this. This is how tricky this is. So do you guys remember the first time I experienced frustration? Because remember what Fritz Perls said, and I know from personal experience with working with myself and also working with other clients. Because I've actually worked with clients where it didn't really clear, and I could tell, like, dude, don't lie to me. No, I feel better. I'm like, no, you probably got rid of 80% of it, but it's gonna start coming back again. We have to get the first one. So they come back for another session, and then who knows? It may even be a year later. I'm like, you still have that issue? I'm like, why don't let's do it over the phone? Let's let's do it. And then boom, we went. And then turns out it was way before, because they're like, no, I'm telling you, it was this issue. This is how tricky this is. Watch this. So in my case, so remember the first time I experienced frustration, right? Watch this. So I went all the way back and I did this timeline therapy of when I was in the garage and it slipped off and it banged me in the elbow, like, I'm frustrated, and I was all pissed off, right? And I'd done timeline therapy on that dozens of times. It never worked. And I was like, why do I still have frustration? What's going on here? Because the first time was not when I did it. It was when my brother did it. When he was frustrated, his energy came through when he walked through. And that's when I got like a dose, like it was almost like a drop of it. That was the first time. So then when I find it, and here's what happened. I was actually working with someone I actually went through a certification training with years before in Hawaii. And he goes, why don't we work on this, Michael? Let's see, you're here. I don't got a client. We've got time. I was like, well, all right. And we did it. And he goes, that wasn't the first time. I'm like, no, it was. He goes, no. So he took me back to when my brother walked in, because I kept clearing it or trying to clear it when I was in the garage a month later. It wasn't a month later. It was the month before when my brother comes storming through and I'm frustrated. That was the first time when I really felt frustration, but it was so mild, I didn't even notice it. So this is what happens when you do timeline therapy. Let's say you have some really traumatic issues, like a guy from war, post-traumatic stress disorder, right? You're thinking, this dude's flipping out. He's probably had something really fucking bad happen. Like he probably got beaten real bad, or was in a car accident, or watched his dad get beat up, or something horrible. No, just watched his brother walk through the room and was frustrated and goes, what's frustration? Nothing bad happened. But that little thing begins to build and build and build and build all the way up, okay? And gets worse and worse and worse. Now, I want to help you understand. I'm going to say one more story and that's it, and I'll stop. Okay, so I learned this from Tony Robbins. I believe it was a seminar. It might have been his personal power tapes. I think it was in there, but I've heard him say it a few times. Probably was in Personal Power. I think it was in his book, Unlimited, Awaken the Giant Within, okay? And I also heard this during our NLP trainings. So I've heard the story quite a bit. It's a very simple concept, but this is a true story. So during the Vietnam War, there was two soldiers, American soldiers, and they were in their foxhole that was dug into the ground, okay? And they were told, never ever take your shoes off, just in case the enemy, comes up on you. Well, what happened was one of their buddies was out of the foxhole and he was stretching his feet and legs. He had his shoes off, his boots, and he was out there and they suddenly got attacked. Well, he was going to grab his boots and to run back. They had thrown a grenade, and these two guys were in the same foxhole, right next to each other from the same perspective, looking right at it. And they watched their buddy get blown up, okay? So what happened was, about 20 years later, something like that, they followed up on both of these guys to do like a study, like, hey, well, how'd your life turn out? Well, they found the one guy, and he ended up he ended up going to law school. He became an attorney, became a successful lawyer, started his own law firm. He got married to a beautiful wife, had three beautiful, I'm making up the number, 3 or 4 beautiful children, and then he became a U.S. senator. True story. And they asked him, well, I don't understand. Like, what happened? What made you so successful? He goes, well, when I was in the I was a young guy. I think he was like 18 or 19 years old. And he goes, I watched my battle buddy get blown up right in front of me with a hand grenade. And I decided decisions can be filters and are filters. This happened to be a really good filter. He goes, I decided from that point forward, life was worth living every second. You got to get every ounce of juice out of life and live life to the fullest, because you never know when you're going to die. So then what they did, they went and searched and finally found his battle buddy, or the guy that was in the foxhole with them. They both watched that guy. So they went and found the other guy that lived, right? And the guy was homeless. He was on drugs. He was in and out of jail. And they were like, whoa, what happened, man? Well, back in Vietnam, I watched my buddy get blown up by a hand grenade. And I realized at that point, I made a decision. Life wasn't worth living. The decisions we make and the experiences that we have will absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, affect our life. Here's the good news. You can change your decisions using timeline therapy. You can change your beliefs that you grew up with, that the church taught it to you, you didn't even realize it, or your mom or your dad or your family. You can also change your rules that you live by. One of the things we clear up in timeline therapy is conflicting beliefs. One belief is, oh, money's great, but then you have this belief from church, money's the root of all evil. Well, those are going to pull you apart. You can have the same thing about love and relationships. Well, love is painful, but I like being in love, and that's going to pull you apart. So you want to be in a relationship, but you don't want to be in a relationship. You want to be committed, but you don't want to be committed. That means it's like your unconscious mind is going this way, and your conscious mind, or it could be the other way, is going this way. And it's like two powerful engines going on. And when we clear and heal these conflicting beliefs, rules, or values, now you got both your engines going in the same direction, and now you're powerful and you flow. That's the goal of all of this. So to wrap it up, that guy, those two soldiers, it was basically what we were learning is the meaning that you give to any and every experience is what creates that experience for you. So hold on. So I had a really good thing that happened. All right. So it's kind of funny. It's the reason I got into all this. All right. My best friend died when I was 19. I had 12 friends die, 18 friends die in high school. And then my 4 best friends died a year later. And one of them was my best friend. And I was a straight A student. I was winning state titles in boxing. I was a state champion, captain of a nationally ranked football team. I excelled at music and choir, everything I did. So when he died, I fell apart. I still went on to win a #1 ranking in the United States in kickboxing on the national level. And I did some other things, but it was nowhere near. I was not in the zone. I was not focused. It was just pure talent. My life sucked from that point forward. It was bad. It was bad. I got really depressed for a long fucking time. And I remember Tony Robbins telling that story, and I got involved with Tony Robbins. I think I was 19 years old. I was young when I went to my first seminar. And I remember that story, and I remember, and here, this has been a learning journey for me. It wasn't just with this thing, but it was all these other techniques. Oh, I don't believe that, until it worked for me. So he told me the story about the 2 soldiers and about how one excelled and became a U.S. senator and had a beautiful family, beautiful life, got this master's or doctorate degree in becoming an attorney. And hold on a second. All right. So, and Tony Robbins was saying, and even during the NLP trainings, I did a lot of this stuff. They were saying the meaning that you give to any event is what makes it become what it is to you. It's the meaning you give to life. It's the meaning you give to any experience. And I thought, the story, even though it was a true story, it was a documented story, I just thought, oh, come on, that's not fucking real. And maybe I wasn't ready to let go of my pain from my friend. And I was about 31 years old. And my ex-girlfriend was a narcissist, and she ripped me to shreds. And I mean, fucking ripped me to shreds. And the only person I ever thought about was my friend Marlon, because I needed him and he wasn't there. And I would pray to him, and I would just think and remember. Finally, I was about 31, 32, maybe 34. And I remember literally saying, okay, here's why. I literally changed the meaning, and I said, I was like, what the fuck do I gotta fucking lose? What do I gotta lose? And I said, I wasted a decade of my life, a little over a decade of my life. Yeah, I went to college and I did things, but it was half-assed. It wasn't that full-on living that I was used to doing. And so I made a decision that I was going to live my life to the fullest because of who Marlon was. Now, here's why. All right, God, this has gone way long, but I hope you guys got this. When I was growing up, Marlon was every girl. I'm telling you, Marlon was Brad Pitt. He was better than Brad Pitt. I guarantee you put Marlon next to Brad Pitt, the women would flock to Marlon. I swear to God. Funny thing, he actually looked like Brad Pitt, which is kind of bizarre. Had this, but Marlon was just Mr. Cool Guy. Both of his sisters were Raiderettes, cheerleaders for the Oakland Raiders. Their dad was cool. Their mom was cool. They were just, like really supportive. And he would always tell people, like, don't stress, and he was all about living life to the fullest. He was the partier. He wasn't Mr. C, a straight A student like I was. He's the one who got me into football. But even that, and we got in high school, he goes, Mike, just have fun. You're taking it too seriously. You're supposed to enjoy it. Well, now I was all serious, and I was upset when I failed, and, I was just miserable. Well, I think it was in 10th grade. In fact, I know it was in 10th grade. It was early in the morning, fall, early in the semester. And we were talking out by the principal's office, 15 minutes before class, before first period. And all of a sudden, the warning bell. So you had a warning bell, and then you had like 3 minutes or maybe 5 minutes before you had to be in your seat or you get a detention, right? That bell went off. We were talking, and I just I started running. And if you go to watch elementary school or whatever, when that bell goes off, the kids will literally drop a ball and they'll just run because they don't want to get in trouble. And as I'm running, he goes, Mike, and I stop and I go, what? He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to class. My class is on the other side of campus. He goes, what's the rush? I don't want to get in trouble. He goes, you don't want to get in trouble. He goes, let me ask you a question. He goes, I know you're a straight A student. I know you're good in art and music and choir. And I know you're captain of the football team and wrestling team and blah, 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 blah. He goes, you've won all these trophies in racing and everything in your life. I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking, God, I got like 3 minutes, and I'm thinking, I got to go. He goes, Mike, stop. Who cares about that? And he goes, about being late for his class. He goes, I know you got all these trophies and stuff. He goes, are you happy? This was a 10th grader. And I went, what? He goes, are you happy? And I literally said, what does that matter? Because I was achieving my goals, but I was a miserable person. I was so serious. And he goes, look at you. He goes, you literally said, what does that matter? He goes, you're winning all these trophies. He goes, but you don't even know if you're happy. And I looked at him like, I got to go. And I ran to class. But man, that stuck with me. And every time we went out, he was the one that made everyone happy. And before he died, I should do a live feed about that. We knew something was going to happen. It's a long story. I don't want to explain it now. But I was really worried about him. I had this, there was this feeling that he wasn't going to be with us long. And I'll do another video. We should do a video on this, not now, but another time. And one day, it was just after we graduated. I think it was that summer. Might have been the next summer. After graduation, he threw a party when his parents were gone. It wasn't a lot of people. We got a barbecue. He actually paid for the steak, the barbecue briquettes, and we bought the beer. And I went to high school. How'd you get beer? Well, we had our ways. And everyone, and his room was upstairs, and we could overlook the back area and the pool and the barbecue. And he goes, look at that. All I want is for people to be happy. He goes, all they do is argue and fight. He goes, no matter what I do. And I remember looking at him, and I'm not going to go to this part. I'll do another video on that. But the point being was, he was this guy that was trying to His purpose in life, he was living it. His purpose was to remind people you're supposed to be happy. And I was remembering all this when I was 31 because I was hurt pretty bad. And I tell you, when I changed that meaning to live my life to the fullest, I'm not going to say that moment everything instantly transformed, but I tell you what, it changed my direction from hopelessness to giving up on life to getting back on track to just plowing forward. And I'm at a place, literally, I'm going to tell you, this awakening, this opening that I had a year ago, I'm finally where I was before my best friend died. I'm on top of it. I'm making YouTube videos. Before I would stress and struggle and I wouldn't do it. I am fucking plowing. And everyone around me like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, I'm doing good, man. I'm back on fucking track. I'm determined. But it's not, you know what it is? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this tug of war with myself anymore. I'm doing this again like I used to do. Okay? So I'm going to end it right there. Your past does affect your future. And if you don't heal your past traumas, wounds, find your conflicting rules and beliefs, you're going to struggle. And that's why people say it's you, it's inside you. They're not trying to be mean. But it's like me with a cute girl smile. It's like, I wanted to meet a cute girl. That was nice. I wanted to meet a pretty girl who was cute and had a cute smile. But every time a cute smiled at me, I used to have this belief that, oh, they were going to hurt me. Well, I don't have that belief anymore. And guess what? That's awesome. So I'm going to end this at that. I know we stayed long, and this is, I can't believe I went this long. Well, it's an hour and a half. That is pretty long. But that I'm going to read what Amy wrote. God damn, Amy, you wrote a lot. Holy shit. Which is good. It's good. So if you guys have any questions, put them down there. Oh, completely. The mic's fine. What you're saying is spot on. I've lived in multiple states. Hello, still here. Totally agree with you. You're either choose to be positive. Yeah. Appreciate you being so open. Well, it kind of caught me off guard. So that experience of when I was 31, 32, you might think like, oh, it sounds like you're still suffering. No, it was a happy time. Those are happy tears when I think about that, because my 20s, that was a dark time. That was a really sad, dark time. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna say goodbye. So I'm gonna wrap it up with that. If Amy, if you got another question or something, otherwise I'm gonna get off this thing. I'm gonna give it 30 seconds and we'll get off it. So I want to say thank you to everyone. I guess there's 4 people still on. Like, that was kind of good. I want to thank Slow Vision. I want to thank Amy, Cami or Kami. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. And I don't see anyone else that wrote down there, but I want to say thank you guys. I'm going to leave it at that. God bless you guys. Live your life to the fullest. And don't think this. Don't think you have to be perfectly healed to start living your life. You start living your life now, okay? Do what you can with what you have right now and build on that, okay? You're going to heal even naturally. People are going to be poking you, prodding you, and that zit, it's going to pop, and that's going to be a healing journey. They call that that some of that can be dark soul of the night, or what do they call it? That is a healing journey. You don't really need a therapist for that, although it can help you through it. But we are healing. And I know that those of you that are on here, you are on your healing journey. You wouldn't have listened to this that long, okay? I hope this has helped you guys. I hope this helped you to understand. Now, one thing I can help you start healing right now. Next time you start dating someone or connecting with someone, start noticing if it's the same person, that's personality type. Start paying attention. Start becoming conscious of it. It's that consciousness. When you start becoming conscious of it, you're like, oh, it's again, you don't have to flip out. You don't have to scream and get mad at the person or mad at yourself. Become aware of it. This is called self-awareness. Start noticing like, oh, I'm seeing some of the traits now. That's the healing journey. Hey, this is Mike Colling at MikeColling.com. Good night, you guys. God bless you. I'm out.